All right, we're gonna gavel in for May 22nd, 2025 for the Chehalis Parks and Recreation Board of Directors meeting. So we'll go ahead and call to order here, which we just did, and now we'll do a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, so we're going to do a roll call. We've got everybody here except for Matt Smith, who happens to be online. It looks like he's got the Northern Lights behind him. Okay, so first thing is we're going to open the budget hearing. So first of all, do we have any additions or any questions?
Turn it over to Superintendent for comment.
For additions, I wanted to mention one thing before we do the additions to the agenda is if there are comments related to the budget hearing is open throughout the duration of this public meeting. So if anyone's got comments on those, they can bring them up really at any time. And that'll be the last thing we do before adjournment is closing the budget hearing.
Okay.
Thank you. And as far as additions, I do have a recommendation on adding a couple of things. So we had correspondence that was published and made available to the website after the packet was published, and so made available earlier this week. So we have 3 items in there. One is a letter from Habitat for Humanity. Another is a piece of correspondence from Bob Travers and Leslie Dale from Early Bird Rotary. Another is correspondence from Hunter Wiley. So I'm going to make a recommendation to the board that the correspondence from Habitat for Humanity be added to the agenda item related to the endorsement and letter of support request from Spark Newberg, so that those happen together. That the correspondence from Bob Travers and Leslie Dale, that's a kind of requesting a sponsorship support from CPRD, that be a new action item added under Section 8. And then that the correspondence from Hunter Wiley be added to the correspondence portion of the agenda under portion 10A or 12A.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
So now, if we have any comments or anything anybody would like to talk to that has to do with the budget. Did you have something? Oh,
No,
we're okay.
what I've heard out there, though, is that from an ex-budget committee member, is that the budget this last time was a lot clearer and a lot easier to understand, so thank you, staff, for doing that.
Yeah.
I agree, it was.
Okay, so public participation. I'm going to walk up here and see if we
let me
get
get
it.
it.
Oh, would you? That'd be great.
Oh,
Wait.
Did I miss something?
Yeah, so we did approval of additions to the agenda, but.
Oh, I need a
do
motion.
consent.
Do we have a motion to approve these things? Have we got,
So we're just going through the consent agenda.
right,
All right.
yep.
well, we're doing just the agenda change. We have to vote,
Ah.
I think.
All right. So if you got, if there's
I'll
any
introduce a
further,
motion to change the agenda as stated.
I'll second it.
okay.
Okay. I've got, any discussion? Okay,
All right. Vote.
so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. So we move forward with that, and now we'll move on to our public
No,
participation.
now you gotta
agenda.
do the consent.
Oh, did I miss that here? Consent agenda. Okay, so do I have a motion?
I move
To-
that we approve the consent agenda.
I have a discussion on the consent agenda.
Okay,
So, I look at that really closely because that's our budget overall as far as where we're at right now. And so overall, in looking at the budget, it looked where we need to be to finish out the fiscal year in a good way. So thank you to all the departments for that. There are some, though, departments that have exceeded their line items. I didn't go back and check that against this next year's budget, but we really need to look at that to make sure that we're on track. Administration was probably the biggest culprit, but to give them some cover on that, we did have a personnel situation that extended longer into that budget, but there's some other things in administration that you might want to take a look at. Also, I've talked about this before, and I was looking at the numbers under ActiveNet, and I'm hoping that this next fiscal year, we're going to look hard at trying to change that up, because that is quite a bit of money. And for those that don't know what ActiveNet is, that's our registration system. And when you go outside to do a system like that, they're going to, not that anybody ever adds things to cost, but that seems to be the case. And I did notice that in the pool especially, that natural gas is going up. So, but overall, you know, when I look at this, because we're coming into one more, well, really, this can be 2 more months in reality. And the numbers across the board with all the departments were looking really good. So I'm proud of the staff for taking care of that. So anyway. And the last thing I have on that, though, did we, I noticed insurance is up in some departments. Did we receive an increase in our insurance premiums this last year? Does anybody know?
Every year.
Okay, was this one bigger than usual? I was just looking at.
It was quite substantial.
Yeah, okay. I was just looking at that, and that's another item that's gonna affect us later on. We're looking at numbers, so. Anyway, that's all I have to say on that. Thank you. Now you can
All right.
go for it.
So do I have a motion?
You do, I moved.
Second.
Okay, we've got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, passes unanimously. All right, so public participation. So do we have anybody here that wanted to speak at all? Bob? Yeah. Okay.
There's no mic.
It's over there.
I have a handheld mic now.
Oh,
No, it's on.
Keep it close.
Justin, what do I push?
Nothing, it should be on.
it's more for recording. It's more for recording than it is.
It should be on, hold on.
Bob, come on over here and just take a chair right there.
Found it. Hold on. There you go.
That's okay, just go ahead. You're the only one who's gonna do it.
Okay. Bob Travers, 408 Ironwood in Newberg. The question I have for you guys is, in years past, we have heard that there was an allotment of funds that was deposited into the Oregon State savings account, if you will. And it's all for municipalities. And can I have, do I have the right to ask what happened with that money, those funds that were in there?
Sure.
I would like to find out what happened to that money. It was 11 to 13 million dollars, whatever it was. And so I would love to know that. That's the first question.
Okay, is that something that somebody can look into?
Staff would be happy to look into that. I don't know that, and all you have to do is ask us for those records or whatever. We're happy to answer the question. I'd like to ask, though, is this a question that's been requested before and that you haven't gotten a response on, or is this new?
Very vague answers.
And can you repeat what agency or entity the funds were deposited with?
The state of Oregon, and this was all was given.
State investment pool.
Okay.
What is it called?
So it's
State of
the
Oregon
State of
Investment
Oregon
Pool.
Local and Government Investment Pool?
Yep.
I
LGI,
think it's the LGGP fund or something like that.
LGIP.
LGIP. Okay. Well, so I'm gonna,
Staff will be happy to assist.
okay.
But that's a Department of Treasury. It may be multiple sources, and so we're going to have to better understand that, but I would be happy to help.
Please do.
And so we will.
I appreciate that. Second question is there a line item still for the feasibility study? I never got a confirmation that it's in the budget.
I believe it is.
It is. It's
It
in
is?
Yeah.
Perfect. I'm done.
Thank you. Okay, so now we move on to the next item here. So it looks like action items and board.
Wait, we still have
Did I
some
miss
people in
something here?
public participation.
Oh, but nobody else has
So
any
we're okay?
questions.
Okay.
Yeah,
They just signed in or anything?
yeah.
Oh, was I not supposed to sign it? I thought it was the sign in.
No, it's okay. Yeah, we asked you to sign in, but you didn't want to comment, did you? Okay, very good. Okay, so we're on to the next item here. So, action items and board comments. So, first of all, adoption of the resolution 2025, authorization to apply for LGGP grant. Staff, do you have anything?
So we don't have a presentation on this, but the information's in the packet. We're happy to answer questions, although I will also turn to Brian and see if, was there anything in particular you wanted to add about this resolution and the work with the Soil and Water Conservation District?
I can't think of any, but if the board has questions or
Microphone?
wants me to.
You can keep that microphone, Brian.
So,
Is it working? Does that work,
Yeah.
Rich?
Yep.
Okay, great. Repeat for those playing along at home, and if you have any questions on the board or anything.
Right up on the mount.
Yeah, so I have some questions really quick. So that grant was due May 1st. And so
There's,
my understanding would be then, since I'm involved with these grants, that they're okay with us sending this in late to support
they
that?
they've, not to interrupt Jim, they've had problems with their whole website and system and being able to fill out the grants. It's currently down and has been all week. And it started weeks ago and they've offered extensions to everybody that's applying.
It says in the letter that, that we're going to provide local matching funds, CPRD specifically. Is that in kind?
That is very much in kind. And,
Is it totally in kind or partially in kind?
Totally in kind, excuse me.
And how much were they asking for as part of that grant?
The total grant amount
Yeah.
is $999,000. It's just under $100,000. Excuse me, I said just under $1 million.
So we're-
just under $100,000.
So they're expecting us to match that with that much money?
Between the two organizations, $50,000, I believe, is what had to be matching.
So so the Park District has $50,000 in kind that you're going to be able to basically document?
Between the two organizations, Yamhill Soil and Water Conservation District and CPRD, we meet the match with what we're providing.
Yeah, and this is the 11th Street soil?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so you wrote down that it's a high priority need, that our district's saying it's a high priority need?
The grant at different levels, and it was completed by Yamhill Soil and Water Conservation District as our representative, and we own the property. And for the evaluation of that neighborhood, in terms of what it would provide, it fit that category for open space. And so that was kind of impressive.
So did we have communication with the neighborhood at all on that?
No, but I have quite familiar with the neighborhood there and what's available to them and what this site exists as is. So I think it would meet that criteria if we look
Okay.
at the way the site looks right now.
Yeah, because I mean, not just in this one, but in other ones, I'm really want to make sure that our neighbors know what we're doing in a certain location prior to us doing any grants in the future or anything else. So, no, I know that area. I know what happens there. I know, I've dealt with that before. I just don't know, I just look at our staffing and how stretched we are, but if you feel comfortable with it, that's fine.
Thank you, I do.
Okay, next item, unless there's any more comments.
Well, don't we have to vote on it?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, you do. Go ahead.
okay. So, do I have a motion?
I move that we adopt the Resolution 2025-05.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion passes unanimously. Next item is adoption of Resolution 2025-06, Amendment 1, to a contract for services for Lango Hansen Landscape Architects to increase scope of work by $19,600.
So I'll start with this, and then Casey may have additional comments on it. But essentially, Lango Hansen is the landscape architect that we have working on Sanders State Park development. There were some unexpected work areas that they've been very flexible in doing, but as a result, that's something that was outside of the scope of work boundaries associated with what was initially approved by the board. So we're asking that the board approve this amendment to that contract to recognize that. Specifically, when we went to do what we thought was going to be a type 1 or ministerial permitting process with the city of Dundee, they let us know that based on some of the things that they were seeing, we had to go back and change the master plan with the city council. So that happened beginning May of last year. Took us through approximately March, which is when we adopted it with city council. So Lango Hansen has been operating and kind of trying to help move the ball along on those. And so we felt that was a good faith effort. And that's what this contract amendment represents.
Great.
And before I go, Casey, did you have anything that you would add to that?
Just that it's taken us longer to get through all this process than was typical. Like almost a year.
What is the percentage of our first phase that we're using for the architects, landscape designers, and so on and so forth? Do we know?
It's probably about 8%.
Okay.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2025-06 for...
Second?
Okay, I've got a first and a second. Do we have any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
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 All right, motion passes unanimously. All right, member appointments for the golf committee. So it looks like we have one here, Corey Asbell. I believe this is the only one that we've got.
That is my understanding as well.
Yeah. So, I move to approve this person, if they want to be on it. Do you have any?
Is there any information on him, per se? I know, my
you
computer
not
kind of
read
went,
it? It
my
was in
computer
the
kind of went
packet.
down.
Oh. Let's see.
I know we have some folks from the golf committee here. Do you have any information on this fellow?
Which one is it?
Corey?
No, but he would be a good asset,
He's only been in the community for like a year.
3 years. And he's a professor
Adjunct.
over there at George Fox.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds like,
Well, I move that we approve Corey. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. So, any discussion? Okay, all those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Those not in favor? Okay, I think it passed unanimously.
Yes, it did.
Okay. All right, very good. So next item on the agenda is approve updated Spanish language translator contract with Deborah Burho.
So this one is another just kind of us doing business. So we've had a contract in place with translation services. This is an update to it. We haven't updated it in a couple of years. So there is a minor change to the rate, which to us seemed very reasonable and minimal, and we think we're getting a pretty screaming deal to start with. We've also had recent conversations too about timelines, and so she's been flexible with us and is actually making the timelines for turnaround for simple projects shorter while leaving it kind of at the current one, which is a bit longer, for things that could be more substantial. So she's been flexible in working with us, so we're very happy with this. This has
Super.
been led by Kat.
And her cost is definitely really good. Really good.
Okay,
I'll move that we approve the updated Spanish language translator contract with Deborah Burho.
I will second it. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
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 Okay, passes unanimously. All right, next item is provide direction to staff for request for endorsement and letter of support for Spark Newberg, and this is the same time we were going to discuss Habitat for Humanity. So could you talk about that a little bit?
Right, so sometimes we get requests for letters of support, and particularly when there's something where it's not really clear that it's part of our core mission, or we think the board's going to want to have an opinion about that letter of support that's being requested for another organization, we bring it forward to your board for discussion. In this case, this is for construction excise tax funds for affordable housing. and it's something that's with the city of Newberg. Both of these groups are submitting applications for the same funds with the city of Newberg. And so that's why, to me, it seemed appropriate to add the request for support from Habitat alongside the one from Spark Newberg, because they're pursuing the same funds, and they're asking for very substantially similar things. Support from the district for these applications. In the past, the district has supported affordable housing initiatives primarily through considering the waiver of SDCs associated with affordable housing developments. So that's one of the tools we have. And so it's up to your board to discuss if you would like to support this, if that's not something you feel is the issue, or any further discussion. To the extent that we can, I'll be happy to answer questions. But we have not talked extensively with either of these groups, but I'm familiar with it partially from my history with the city, with the Construction Excise Tax Fund. So, and I will say that this is a source of funds for affordable housing that once it is spent, it's not expected to come back. So the Construction Excise Tax Fund was sunset a few years ago, and there's approximately $1 million available for this round, and it's expected to be the last round.
Have we got any idea how many units that they are thinking that they would like to build if we were to offer to not charge them?
Unless they mention,
SDCs?
unless they mention it in their letter of support, I don't know that I know how many units they're talking about in these. And I suspect, and I believe from my recollection, their programmatic approaches to how they do affordable housing are pretty different from each other. So it might feel a bit like a bit of an apples and oranges kind of a comparison would be my take, but I can't give a whole lot of guidance beyond that.
If these are apartments, we don't charge SDCs for apartments anyway, do we?
Yes, we do.
Do we?
Yeah, we do. Yeah.
We don't
Because
for
it's
businesses, but we do for low-cost housing, we can waive or.
But that's not the request
Right.
right now. This is
Correct.
just a
It's just
letter of support
approval.
for the
Yeah.
CET money.
Yeah, this has nothing to do with our.
What's your
applications.
guys' thoughts on that?
I don't know that we have enough information about the projects, in my opinion, and what they're trying to do for me to comfortably say I would support it. I just don't have enough information to be able to, and I work in affordable housing.
Yeah.
That's what I do in my day job, so.
Yeah, I'd like to, oh, sorry. Jim, you go first.
I noticed that in the Spark, it says their nonprofit is pending, so I'm not sure what their status is until they have their nonprofit status, if they can even apply. So I don't know enough to really, approve something like this. I am 100% in favor of low-cost housing, for sure, no doubt. I do know that Habitat has proven that they can do the low-cost housing because they've done it.
Right.
But my take is I don't know enough about it at this late a juncture because we just got these, 2 days ago?
The one from Habitat came in earlier. I may have received it as early as Friday, but then wasn't able to get it out and available to your board until a couple of days later.
Okay, so I'm just saying I don't know enough information.
What you got, Matt?
Yeah, I think a couple things. This is tax funds that the city of Newberg collected, and so they'll be deciding probably how to spend it. So for our board to kind of, in essence, pick sides in competing entities seeking the tax funds or whatever decision that the city will make with that money probably isn't wise. I'd say our board would have a role down the road with any affordable housing project should they request waiver of SDCs or anything that would be within our scope. But I don't think us picking sides in a situation like this is probably wise. So.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with what you just said, Matt, and I also agree with Lisa. I think it's too premature to do anything at this time.
I agree.
Okay, so we will just move on to the next
I think
item.
overall, just a letter back to those folks that, we want everyone to understand that we support affordable housing, but we don't have enough information to make a decision at this time.
Yeah,
That's it.
okay.
Did I go with everybody?
Yeah,
I'm good with
sounds
that.
good. Okay, next item is approved staff recommended purchase of gymnastic equipment for approximately $15,000.
for our gymnastics program. Richard, am I on?
No.
Okay. It's for our gymnastics program that takes place at the Armory. And we have basically a sky track. I don't know if you've ever seen it before, but it's rather large, and it's been I guess we've had it for about 20 years. And what's happening is they, all three, I would say, portions, or all three, what would you call it?
Elements?
The fit together, they are Velcroed together, and that's coming apart. The actual, the main part, the little climbing wall, that's coming apart. And so Matt's been, I think it's been in the budget for several years. And so we just haven't, moved forward with it. And so we think now is a good time because our gymnastics program is growing.
Okay.
So he wanted me to share, though, that it's a very unique, I would say, that Skytrack is very, very unique. And so when he went to look for 3 bids, the person that they were talking to, the company that we would like to purchase it from, said that he could do that, but that those people would come to them to purchase, the original unit. So he didn't think that was valuable to provide to other quotes in there. So.
Okay.
I've seen this used. I mean, it was here back in, I don't know when they had that before, 2010 maybe, I don't know, a long
Yeah.
time ago.
Yeah, it's 20 years.
And the kids really love this thing. And I can understand why he may not have been able to get 3 quotes. I had that in my notes to ask that question.
Yeah.
Because it is a unique piece. The only thing, and you may not know this answer, I know that thing is tough to pull around. Will the new one fit on those dollies that we currently have to pull that thing out?
I think it will.
Because it weighs a ton.
It does. It's very, very heavy.
Yeah.
We use it a lot for birthday parties.
Yeah, it's
as
great.
well.
It's a great thing.
I had a really hard time getting up and down it. It wasn't pretty. So
You're not supposed to.
it wasn't good. I don't have any.
It says no
ab
adults on it,
muscles
right?
anymore. Huh?
It says no adults on it, right? Is that why it broke? Just kidding.
No comment.
Okay.
So do we need an approval for this at all?
We would like authorization for the
Yeah.
procurement.
Yeah,
I
I-
move that we approve $15,000 for the gymnastics.
And I'll second that. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes.
What's the lifespan on these?
Oh gosh, that's a good question. I really don't know. I'll find out for you though.
Okay, and are they repairable? Or is it like a 20, the 20-year one's probably obviously done?
Yeah, it is done. They really aren't. Once they begin ripping, the kids are on them. They are pretty hard on them, or they just continue to fray and pull apart. The one that we have right now, the tumble track, it was made very well, but there's just been so many, kids.
It's been around a long time. As I
has been
recall, they do
20
have
years.
patch kits if somebody does something they're not supposed to on it.
Oh,
Yeah, we've
So-
used those.
Yeah.
But,
Okay, so all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
great, thank you.
Aye. Matt, are you there? All right, we've got,
Did he just?
Aye.
okay. All right, we've got unanimous approval? Okay.
We do.
So, discuss potential scheduling of a work session July 10th to discuss board priorities. I think that is premature because I think, excuse me, it's July. July.
Right.
Okay. That is probably a doable thing. So,
Right.
Matt, are you okay on July 10th?
Yeah,
Okay.
that works for me.
And how about you guys? Are you guys available? Are you available, Jim? Mm-hmm. Okay, so it looks like that's a go.
Great.
Okay, board comments. You know what? Let's start with Matt, and then we'll go right to Lisa.
Okay.
You got anything,
I
Matt?
got nothing today.
Okay.
Well, I'd just like to say congratulations to Jim and Nick and Brandon. Excited that I'll be stepping off of this board and you guys are going to be stepping into that role. And I'm hoping that it goes as smoothly for you as it does for me. And just congratulations. Good luck.
Oh,
You're up.
okay.
Jim.
Yeah, so you have to put up another 4 years, I heard. Somebody told me that.
That's great. No, 2 years.
Okay. Anyway, the one thing that I met a lot of people, had a lot of rave feedback on the Park and Recreation District throughout this election process. It was great. So people think highly of us, and I'm happy to hear that out there. There are some things that they brought up that I'll bring up to the staff that we may not always see, but it was good. Otherwise, onward and upwards, all moving.
Well, I just want to say, first of all, congratulations to Nick and Brandon, okay? I think we're going to have an exciting at least 2 years, because I'll be here at least 2 years. No, I want to say congratulations. I think that, we have done, I've only been on this board for 2 years, and I have had the pleasure of working with Lisa and Gail, Jim and Matt, and I got to tell you, I'm truly honored to be on this board. We have done some amazing things in the last 2 years. I honestly think that we have worked extremely well. I'm going to miss both Lisa and Gail. You guys have brought a lot to this board, okay? Your guys's, how you guys think is not exactly the same as the way that I think, or the way that Jim thinks, or the way that Matt thinks. And you guys bring so much diversity to this board. I really appreciate everything that you guys have done. And thank you. It's been great working with you guys. So, other than that, I look forward to the next couple of years and see what we can accomplish.
Wait, this isn't our last meeting, is it?
No, it's the last, no, this is the last meeting in which, it's really, it's like this. The next one is just gonna be a couple of minutes where we approve the budget. So I just wanna make sure.
Yeah, 'cause I'm gonna ask on that too, yeah. Was
Yeah.
that the case, or are we having a board meeting in June, or?
There will be a board meeting in June. We need there to be a quorum present, because that's when we'll adopt the budget. So
Have we got a date? Because we got everybody here right now. Let's
It's the
figure out if we got
I
the
think
date.
Casey could look that up for me, but yes, I'm sure we have a date. And the only other thing that off the top of my head, I know we're planning on having the agenda, or if the board wants us to bump it to the following month, or to the next available meeting, we could do that, was that we were gonna have some things from the employee manual, so fairly non-contentious.
26.
But they're just basically revisions for administrative items, but that can hold if for some reason y'all would like a shorter meeting.
Okay.
I'll just let you know, I'm not in country from like the 10th to the 18th.
What?
The meeting should be on June
Vacation.
26th.
So it'll be the same, I wasn't sure if we were scheduling it for another time.
I'm not proposing to change the date.
So the date
Okay.
is?
All right,
June 26th.
the
Thank
normal
you.
time.
So Matt, June 26th.
Yeah,
Is there anybody here that can't make it? All right, sounds like we're good for June 26th.
Okay,
All right.
thank you. That's from my budget mind appreciates that you'll all be here.
Do you have anything, Gail?
I echo the congratulations. That's all.
Okay.
Can I actually do one more thing?
Absolutely.
I don't know if y'all saw the paper, but Bart Ryerson used to be, for a long time, was both a city councilor as well as a CPRD board member, and he has given a lot of his time. He was huge on the paddle launch, and he's been a phenomenal human, and he is needing a lung transplant. And so, just if you guys can all think good thoughts about him, and he has a GoFundMe account. If anybody has space, that would be great, because it's kind of a scary thing.
He's a great guy. He's the one that started the paddle launch program, got it going back when we had it. Worked really hard on his own to make that happen. So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's really devastating that's happening.
Okay, let's see here. Matt's already spoke, so we're all done. Is there, have we got anything
No, you
else
got
there?
one more.
We have one new agenda item that was added, and that's
Okay.
for action items, so that would be for the sponsorship request associated with Early Bird Rotary. And that really is coming from correspondence between myself, Bob Travers, who's here in the audience, as well as Leslie, whose last name I'm forgetting right now.
Dale.
Leslie Dale, thank you. And so there was initial discussion on that request of a cash sponsorship where the district would, the request was to enter as a sponsor paying cash, and then after additional correspondence with Bob Travers, there was discussion of an in-kind, which an in-kind would essentially be us lowering the cost of an invoice associated with the golf tournament that Rotary will be hosting at Chehalem Glen Golf Course. But I have not seen an invoice from our golf pro for that specific event, so I can't really speak to the detail and whether or not we could really entertain anything like that, because I don't have that information.
And have we done that before?
I am not familiar with us having done anything like this before specifically, although I would offer that if there's anyone that would like to make a comment, such as Bob Travers, that he could tell us if we have done this in the past that he's aware of, because he's been involved with it. Would you like to make a comment? Or say anything? We can do this.
Okay. First of all, no, I've never heard this happen before.
Okay.
I just heard in-kind from Jim, though, that there was an in-kind something, and you discussed it together. So that was the only time I've ever heard in-kind from the board of directors. Can you hear me, Richard?
What?
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
I can allude to that. The in-kind is basically gonna be either like donated plants or volunteer labor or something like that. Is a lot of times what we call in-kind, or a contractor's going to donate their time. That's kind of what we look at. The only thing that I know that we give out, like 3 rounds of golf, swimming pool pass, things like that. But I just am concerned personally, not with the golf per se, but looking at the whole spectrum, is okay, all of a sudden, Rotary asks us that, and then Booster Club asks us that, and then Kiwanis asks us that, and then, are we opening up something that we don't want to? So I think that we need to have a policy concerning this to make sure that we're doing it correctly and being fair to everyone across the board. So, yeah, so that's my thoughts on it.
And I would say
Not
that
that I'm against it, I
that
just want
was-
to make sure it's,
as the superintendent and being new, part of why I wanted to bring it to the board and make sure that we didn't commit to any things administratively that was not appropriate. And knowing that this board just had a discussion with the Booster Club request for the tennis club also made it seem like, and I don't know how frequently this has come up in the past, but it sounds like it's kind of happens to be a new issue.
and I also think that we need to check with SDAO on this.
Okay.
Because I'm not sure how they would look at this from a legal standpoint. I think it's great, but I just think that we need to cross all our T's and dot all our I's.
Matt, do you have any comments on this at all?
No, I agree with Jim. I think we should have a policy, kind of more standardized policy for these sorts of things. I think that would help staff out quite a bit too in responding.
Okay, well then, at this moment, we're not going to do anything? Is that what I'm understanding?
That's what's.
If staff could bring us something back at the next meeting, that'd be great.
Okay.
And if we do find something productive from SDAO, we could consider waiting on that employee handbook. We could consider figuring out where the right place to park such a policy is. And employee handbook is probably not the right place, but having something that memorializes those sorts of things on behalf of the district, whether that's public facing and non-binding to the board or something else, we'll try and think on that.
Okay, so we're gonna,
I have an addition.
yeah, go ahead. Bob Travers.
Bob, yeah. When I presented this to Clay, it was not this year, but next year was a relationship with our Rotary Club doing business with the golf course and going in together as a kind of a team, you representing obviously CPRD and us Rotary. I thought that would be something that we could possibly talk about for the future, not this year. We're full, by the way. We've sold out. So, yeah, in the future, I think that would be a good connection between our two entities, and I would like to see that happen.
Okay, thank you, Bob. All right, so we are going to move on to old business. So we're going to continue discussion on the future of our preschool. So Matt, do you want to start us off there? Talk about the preschool, what your position is on it, whether we're going to close it or whether we're not going to close it? What's your position?
I've been in support of staff's recommendation to pursue the grants to rehabilitate the facility, but based on the current budgetary issues and loss of revenue, I think, for at least 2 or 3 years. I support at least a temporary closure while we wait to get that grant money.
May I add something to
Yes.
that? So we applied for the Business Oregon Child Care Infrastructure Grant. Thank you for sending that to both Clay and I. What I noticed, and I looked on the website today, that they had 736 applicants for that grant. The total asked, by the 736 was 280 million, and they only have 25 million to offer. So I just wanted to mention that. This is kind of interesting, though. 17 organizations or agencies applied for, in Yamhill County, applied for the grant for a total of 4 million. And then there were 378 applicants for minor renovations or major renovations, which is what we applied for. So
Okay.
I just wanted to let you know that we got that in on time, and so we're hopeful.
Okay.
Yeah.
They are going to have another 50 million. My understanding is there will be an additional 50 million later on this year that they will be doling out. So, do you have anything you'd like to say?
I agree with Matt. I think that we should.
Mike?
I agree with what Matt said. I respect the work that Julie did into making her recommendation, and it seems to be the wise thing to do. I also am hopeful that we can figure something out, but for the time being, I think the responsible thing is to close it for a bit.
So, I know that I'm going to sound like a broken record, but the fact of the matter is, we've been providing daycare for 55 years. And by the way, I think that you guys do a great job, and I also respect your guys' opinions. But I'm just going to say, look, we do a lot of stuff here within CPRD, and one of the things that we've been doing for 55 years is we have been providing childcare. If we close that, I am confident we will never, ever open it up again. And I do not want to see us close that facility for nothing. Or I am okay with closing that specific location and opening it up someplace else. But I would, I look at the amount of dollars that we are going to spend in this community. And I know when we start talking about the fact that, well, we've lost $169,000. But then we talk about how many dollars we're going to spend on trails, all right? And I believe in our trails, but I also believe in our kids' future and our, the residents that live in this district. And I think that we need to be able to provide that, because the fact is when we initially opened up, there was 7 other entities that opened up the same time we did. We're the only ones left in existence. And so I really don't want to see us stop offering that service, regardless where that location is. And frankly, I think it's a waste of money to spend a dime on that facility. I'd rather see us sell it, buy some other building someplace else. That's what I'd prefer us to do. But I will, whatever the board wants to do, I will work with them. So I don't want to see it closed. You're up next.
We answered all of our taxpayers. And we're looking at all these facilities and all these things happening. You're making a point with your baby? Anyway, I have to look at the numbers. We're answering to all of our constituents that put us here and that are part of our tax base. And so, I'm going to support where the staff is right now. And I think that's important to support them. I think they've done their due diligence and their work on this. I think as I read back in the preschool when it started, and again, I knew Bonnie and all those guys back when they started the preschool. That's how old I am. But we were pretty much it at that time. And now we're not it at that time. And so there's more out there for people to look at. But with that said, when you have free daycare in our community, by the way, that's not going to last forever. That's on a grant, I'm sure. And that could turn around and changes could take place. Just like we brought the preschool in initially, because there really wasn't anything here in the community. So that's kind of where I'm looking, and I'm counting on the staff to look hard at this. And if we can get a grant to work on this, great, but we also have to make sure we can fill the preschool, even if we get a grant.
So I agree with Jason. I think that you close this school and it is not going to reopen. And while I do appreciate what staff has said, and I understand the numbers really well, that it is a little bit of a loss right now, I do think if it was in a different location, or if that location was improved, I think you would have a lot more students that would come in there. I also think that given the federal government right now and the uncertainty there, and the reductions in the Department of Education and the funding that's there, the chances of a lot of these daycare facilities that are even starting or in operations right now are probably going to suffer and likely close as well. It is something that's been going on for 55 to 60 years. It is an activity that the community has supported right now. I think that the condition of it is such that it's probably not great for kids to be there, but I do think that we are spending a lot of money in a lot of other places, and yeah, we do report to all of the taxpayers, but not everybody uses the pool, and not everybody uses the golf course either. So I will say that I think that we will be really sad in a couple of years if we close this thing down now, and the need is only going to continue to grow. So I personally think that this board should continue to try to keep this thing operating as much as it possibly can and try to do improvements to the facility in order for it to be a safe, healthy, happy place for kids to grow.
And I would like to add one more thing here. If there wasn't a need, we wouldn't be having George Fox and ADEC building a facility that's going to house, 250 kids. Here's the problem with that. The vast majority of those slots are for their employees. And we have a hell of a lot more citizens that have children that don't work for ADEC or George Fox. And I believe we have a need. And if we simply had the facility that was that the facility that we have is a facility that works. But if we had a facility that when you brought your child there, it didn't look so dilapidated, I honestly think that we would fill up. So I hope this board will consider not closing that. And I appreciate everybody that has said, look, we need to be good stewards of the taxpayers' dollars. And we are. And I think we still are, even if we lose $169,000 a year. I still think that we're good stewards because we're offering a service that they need. So anyways, with that being said, I don't know if this is a moment for us to vote on anything or not. Clay, is this a?
This is
we're
a
waiting.
discussion. This is a discussion.
Okay.
So if no vote occurs, staff is going to move forward with our recommendation, which
Okay.
is that the program close and we pursue funds in the hope of reopening as promptly as we can make it happen.
You know, and I think that it's important that we look at all angles of that operation. You can look at, you have to look at staffing, you have to look at, access, you have to look at parking, you have to look at all those things, and we don't have that right now. To sort of keep it going in the same place, to me, is just gonna, recreate the wheel. So I think that we need to take a step back and take a hard look at it. I don't want to abandon the preschool. I don't want to abandon those kids. I do not want to do that, but I don't want to put them back in the same situation that's going to fail. And that's my concern. So that's why I'm supporting the staff, and I hope they keep working on it, and they're already working on it with a grant. That's just my thoughts.
Well, I am going to make a motion, okay? And I hope that I get somebody to get on board with me. But I'm going to make a motion that we keep this school open and that we keep moving forward towards the grants. And we also ask staff to look at other ideas to house these children during school days. So I'm asking for a second.
I'll second.
All right, so now it's time for discussion. Matt, this is a good time to change your mind.
I don't have anything new
Okay,
as far as any comments beyond what I said earlier.
Okay, well, that being said, does anybody else have any comments that they'd like to add?
Now let's call for the vote.
Okay, so that being said, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Did you just do that?
Wait wait a minute, what did, sorry, I was looking down, but I'm trying to record this. Was one of those by a raise of hand?
All right, looks like we failed, so we have, excuse me,
You have
those
to
that,
call for the nays.
yeah, those that are no, say nay, please.
Nay.
Okay.
Motion fails.
Okay, motion fails. All right, any other motions? All right, so we'll just move forward here. Thank you guys for considering. Okay, so here we go. We are on Citizen Advisory Committee updates. All right.
Yeah.
You can just, we'll just turn this around for you.
Thank you.
State your name.
I'm
and
Roger Coleman, co-chair of the Golf Course Clubhouse Committee.
Okay,
Just last month, Bob Travers gave a PowerPoint presentation on the study that we're being conducted by the Golf Course Committee. And in your packet, I think is supposed to be an executive summary of our study.
Right.
And we are working with staff to get the complete report in the final format, which we hope to present to you next month with all of the reports and recommendations. So just wanted to make that. And then just another, under recommendations, just wanted to, the committee recommends support of the budget to conduct the feasibility and business study for the reviewing the recommendations for the clubhouse for the 2025-26 budget, which is going to be funded by already collected funds from golfers. So
do you know how many dollars we've collected?
It's, I believe it's around 195.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody from the pickleball?
Wait, I have something on that recommendation really
sure.
quick. Yeah, I read through it, and I want to make sure, and there was a lot to it. There was a lot to it, but the staff really has to analyze it, because I'm not sure you want to put out all of that. So analyze it and get back with the committee and talk to them about it before you put it out. I think that's important. But I think that the committee did a heck of a job of going through and trying to find out everything they could, and I appreciate you guys' time in doing that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I want to thank Clay for being there at our committee. Nobody else, even the liaisons, were there.
Or the committee
I
members.
I think he was
to be
in
fair.
Vietnam.
I was out of the, I was out of the
Thank you,
area,
Clay.
but I
You would
tried to
have
be there.
left real fast.
Okay.
He wasn't there.
Thank you, Bob. All right, we've got pickleball committee coming up here next.
We'll give it a go. Yeah, just really quick. We had a public forum to kind of give information about the Jake With Park program and answer any, or project, I should say, answer any questions they may have. And it went really, really well. Thank you to Casey and Julie and Clay for being there. Had really positive feedback about the project, both during the presentation and then from pickleball players and tennis players. Both had really good things to say. So thanks to you guys. Really excited about moving forward with that project. The other thing, real quick, I think the website says we have a meeting on Monday. Unless people want to meet on Memorial Day, I think we'll probably just cancel that one.
Yeah.
And we will, our next one will be June 23rd.
Perfect.
Super, thank you.
And we will put up a cancellation notice both here in person and on the website. Thank
One
you.
of the things that came up at that meeting, because I was at your public meeting, was the question about, everybody thinks this is going to happen in July. Is that going to happen in July, breaking ground? I just want people to be aware that things aren't always what they seem.
There's a schedule, Jacob Park, probably, construction permitting May to June 20th, bidding June 1st, construction June 30th, October 17th. That's what the schedule says.
So you're going to put it out for bid, but the board's going to have to approve that. So,
Oh, so
So we can meet those dates, so that gonna be in
We're-
June?
We're going to do everything that we can.
June 26th is the meeting.
Is the board meeting that we would be approving it at?
That's what we're shooting for.
Okay.
So
Okay.
we're working as hard as we can. We don't want to delay it any further. And I would say that I am much more comfortable having construction dates be published and to the public a little earlier than they absolutely are, and then construct a little after than the other way around.
Okay.
And then them being upset because people scheduled something. So we are working as hard as we can to make sure we hit that construction date in July, though.
With Sanders, with the pickleball, with these, with the bridge for the bypass trail, all those things, we have the summer window. So if we have to call a special meeting,
Okay?
I would like to call a special meeting
Okay.
and not get held up. Because I don't want the weather to go away and all of a sudden we wait another year.
That is very appreciated.
I don't know if all the board will approve that.
Yeah.
But all we need to have is 3 there, but we need to move this forward.
Yeah,
Well,
I agree. We can't lose our window for breaking ground, especially on Sander and Jakewood.
all right, well, so we have 3 people for sure that can be here. You just need to make sure that you let us know what day that needs to be, even if it's not one of these days.
We will keep communicating with everyone,
Okay.
and we will check ahead of time so we don't schedule a special meeting that people actually can't make.
Right,
So
great.
if you get a question like that, please respond to it. We'll try not to burden anyone. Some people will probably not be here, so
I
it
was
won't
gonna
matter as
say,
much.
what's the day?
I was trying to make eye contact
June-
with certain
it's
individuals in the room.
It's
but
June
it's
26th.
So
That we switched.
it's
Oh, no,
no.
no, it's
We're just
July.
saying that, so if for some reason that it can't get approved by the board in June, that means it would need to
Okay.
perhaps call for a special meeting in July.
But I
So-
mean, what day is it, them and not
It's
me?
the end of the 3rd week of
Of July?
July.
Okay.
3rd Thursday, I think. Or is it 4th Thursday?
Third.
3rd. Okay.
We will work.
So that being, we have somebody from Trails, yes.
Yes, so
Already
real
ready
quick,
to go.
unfortunately, we had to cancel unexpectedly our last meeting, so we didn't have a meeting last week. But we did do a field trip on the west side of Riley Park, and we've mapped out, we have a pretty good sense of what the map should be. So we just need to finalize that, and from the map, then we'll go forward with signage, all the posts are there. That's what we're working on. We're also working on Volunteer Day at the end of June. And just in general, the trails look great all around, and really appreciate staff's work, Brian especially, and recently they've put in a new picnic bench that was donated by Valley View Riders in the upper parking lot, and it's much appreciated.
Super.
Thank
I
you.
have I have a question for you.
Yeah.
These maps you're talking about, are these passed by the staff to approve?
Yes, we're definitely working
Okay.
with, nothing's
I just want to
finalized.
make sure that you guys are on board with it.
Yeah, they're working right with it.
Great.
They've been walking with us also.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Bob and Craig.
Thank you very much. Superintendent report,
All right,
30
since
seconds.
The superintendent report is all written down. I did want to add a couple other things. So the only other things I had to add, lost my notes anyway, would be one, I wanted to echo what Director Rogers said about Bart Ryerson. He was active and a member of this board. He's been an active community member. I personally have someone in my family that had pulmonary fibrosis, which was announced in the article and the graphic. If people have not read it, I suggest people do and consider the GoFundMe account that was mentioned in that as well. The other thing I wanted to say is we do have some employee stuff that's internal, but there's nothing that's particularly eyebrow raising about an employee manual update. We're just doing those to get updated, things like password sharing and other basics. And some of those are related to our controls associated with our audit findings for the most recent year and our action plan. So that's a good thing that is coming forward. And the other thing I wanted to point out, the budget, again, please make sure that if you, for some reason, aren't going to be able to come to that June board meeting, that you tell me, because I want to make sure that we know that we have quorum. And then the other thing would be that we are actively working on the audit. And so that 2024 audit is, or the, whatever one we're on, the one that we're working on right now is active, and as soon as we get close to finishing that activity, we'll be moving into doing an RFP for a new consultant, and we'll kind of keep that moving. So that's the idea. So you all can't see that actively happening, but it is.
Thank
Okay.
you.
That's it from me, and I'll hand it over to staff for staff reports.
Can I ask a quick question, Clay?
Of course.
How did the Dundee NERA meeting go?
Oh.
I think it was earlier this week.
That's a great question. They said, once again, they're supportive, and they made no final decisions. So, but Matt, you'll be happy to know it was a lot shorter than last time. So, so they're still entertaining what we want. I think it's good for me to be there and stare at them while they make the decision, because it makes it harder for them to lower the number that we've asked for. But they did assure me that basically the Dundee City Council, acting in its capacity as a Dundee Urban Renewal Agency, they're just struggling with exactly how much they should be responsible for in park development. And so there's a few things that they had questions about that I'm going to try and bring additional information back about the potential benefits of a park development on surrounding tax values and those sorts of things, which may help them with their decision-making. But they haven't given us an exact term. And then I have been working with the city manager as well on an agreement framework that would be acceptable to the Urban Renewal Agency. And once I feel like that is a little closer to a draft that would be amenable, I'm going to share it with this board just to see if we're in the right neighborhood for something that we would be on board with. But something to keep in mind is this is not a loan and it's not a grant. It's something where we get funds as an award, but they're looking at making sure that they don't accidentally give us money they don't have, because it's an unusual situation where they want us to pay up front and then they pay us back later when they do have the money. Normally it happens where they award money once they have it. So it's a little bit unusual, so there's a tiering system, so I'll be happy to share that with the board, which I would expect to perhaps be ready next time or the one after.
Okay,
So-
super. Brian?
I have nothing.
Wonderful.
I just have one thing, surprisingly.
Okay.
I just wanted to note that the Aquatic Center, I asked Becky to track how many people use the Aquatic Center each day.
I saw that.
From April 1st to April 15th, we had 8,266 visits. And from April 16th to April 30th, 7,439. That's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
They want a bigger weight room, I think. I've got some questions of Brian. You guys went pretty fast. And you may not know the answers to this, maybe Casey does. But all four of the Aramac units on top are working now?
There's 3 airmen.
There's 3.
Three? Sorry.
And they're still working on it, as far as I know.
Oh, because in the board report, it said that they're working.
They're all, number 1 is operational. All 3 are drained and flushed. They're coordinating and communicating to each other. And step by step is, as long as they're comfortable with this level and they monitor that, bells and whistles go off, then we'll turn on number 2, then we'll turn on number 3. The big step we made, the big stride, is that we even have number 1 going and the boiler not running the whole building. So that's a huge jump from where it's been the past 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, because Northwest Natural Gas, like I said, the bill's up. And they'll probably keep going up because they're going to keep raising rates, so.
Well,
Oh.
no more than the power company.
Right. We're starting to catch up to PGE. The other thing I had is I walked in the other day to use the facilities there, and I smelled chloramines in the front office. This may be Greek to a lot of people from an aquatic standpoint. But, and then I heard the UV's broken and we haven't been able to get it fixed. And that's an issue. Is that, are we,
So what did you hear? I'm sorry, Jim, I couldn't hear you.
the UV system that basically helps to delineate the chloramines,
I understand what it does, sure.
yeah, is not working.
That's incorrect. It is operational.
Okay.
We have part of the budget is to upgrade that system or replace the existing UV. But we are not, we're totally in compliance and it's operational and safe.
They did.
What it's doing now. It has been budgeted to be, and now it's been 8 years.
Yeah, because I noticed the chloramines were pretty high on that, but again, the spray part of that new facility is probably another one. Yeah, go ahead.
They did have some issues with the dehumidifiers and that air filter system.
Mm-hmm.
Probably about the time that you were there. So that might be part of it.
So,
The UV, all 3 of those units are on separate, like there's 3 separate ones. And I know they've had, one of them has been, they're all working, maybe not as well as one of them should. There's a yearly maintenance that's supposed to happen
Right.
on those. And it's been hard for them to get that scheduled.
I know, because that has to be a certified company
has
that
to
does
be-
that, I get that,
yeah.
I remember that. Lastly, the pool HVAC system has to be balanced, I seem, because the doors are now not closing because of air pressure in there? is my understanding the doors, they used to shut. Now they're staying open and not shutting, so that's something you guys might want to look at.
And that ties in with everything going on the roof, we believe, throughout the whole building. So these are all things that are being addressed at the same time and things that affect everything. It's all like a domino, as you know, up there.
Yeah, I know it's not easy, the building's getting older, but all that stuff costs us money. If doors are not closing, the heat's going out, and we're paying for that. So it gets expensive after a while, but it's not gonna get better because the equipment's getting older. And,
Unfortunately, yeah, I agree with you 110%. Unfortunately, even more so,
Challenge.
it's only 8 years old.
I know it's
So
challenging.
that's super frustrating for someone in our position as staff to see all these expenses and things that are happening there and engineering aspects that we're addressing. But I appreciate your feedback because I agree with you 100%.
But on the plus side, people love that building. So there you go. We'll end it with that.
All right, do we have any citizen comments at all? Okay. So now we're opening the budget hearing for public, excuse me?
Sorry, go right ahead.
Yeah, we're opening
I
the.
got one more thing I want to say.
Yeah, go on ahead. Yeah, right after Casey here, real quick.
I just wanted to mention to the board that all the budget or the extensions for the projects have been done. They were all finalized in the last week or so, right, Clay?
That's right.
You signed them?
Yep,
Clay signed
they
them.
are.
Wait, back up. All the extensions for
For the Sander property and the Newberg Dundee bypass. So
The grants.
they're all extended out.
Okay. Good.
Thank you.
Brian, do you want to grab that microphone?
On the, I can relate to trying to balance a building and manage an HVAC system. I don't know if you guys, I'm assuming if you're a PGE and Northwest Natural ratepayer, you would be eligible for Energy Trust of Oregon programs if you haven't already worked for them or with them.
We have.
They have I'm not associated with the Energy Trust. This is going to sound like an advertisement, but they have a strategic energy management program that is targeted at operations and maintenance programs and will give you an incentive for doing fixes like balancing air systems, and they really target low cost, no cost, O&M operations and maintenance type things. So might be something staff could look at.
I think that's a great suggestion. Energy Trust gave us a lot of money initially for the equipment for that aquatic center. So, I mean, if they can do more for us and we get an incentive, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks.
We work with them on the cultural center project as well. So we are familiar with their program. So thank you, Brian.
Worth looking at again. Thank you.
All right, so if we don't have any comments in regards to the budget,
Anyone?
Did you mention there was a public correspondence that you were gonna move to?
It's in the correspondence portion, and if people have comments on it.
we already talked about it.
Okay.
Okay, well then we're going to close the budget, and this meeting is adjourned.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Jason.
everyone.
Yeah, we are getting it done. This was speed.
Jason.
Thanks, Matt, for hanging in online.
Damn, dude.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
All right.
It's always